Video 1997 year in review continues with WWF In Your House Revenge of the Taker. Alright, so it's right after WrestleMania 13 now. We have Bret Hart and Stone Cold Steve Austin. They essentially switch, and you have that famous double turn where now Bret Hart is the bad guy. He's the heel. You have Steve Austin, the big baby face. Now, the thing about this is, however, though, is Bret Hart he has a different kind of heel heat. He is public enemy number one in America. In the United States of America, he is hated like crazy. But everywhere else in the world, whether it's in Canada or Germany or South Africa or fucking Kuwait or Australia or England, wherever the fuck, he is the ultimate babyface. And it's the same thing with Stone Cold Steve Austin. The Undertaker is the new World Wrestling Federation champion. However, he's not in the main event, as it's Stone Cold and Bret Hart in the main event. This show there's not a whole lot to talk about here, but you can definitely see the differences between WCW and WWF at this point. WWF's undercard in this pay-per-view is terrible, whereas WCW's undercard is amazing. WCW's main event is almost always terrible, except Spring Stampede, which had and Uncensored had the exceptions. Here, the main events are awesome. So your undercards are terrible, but your main events are awesome. Give or take a few exceptions to the rule. Let's start off. Revenge of the Taker starts off. We have LOD defeating Owen and the British Bulldog via disqualification. At first, they win the tag team champions. They have this big dusty ass fucking finish. Well, let me tell you something, Daddy. Nobody wins. Hard times, Daddy. Hard times, Daddy. But nobody wins. Nobody loses. Hard times, Daddy. LOD wins the tag team titles for the second time, but Dusty Rhodes finish, Daddy. I wonder how many times LOD got the Dusty finish. But so they don't win the tag titles because Hawk pinned the wrong guy, and then they got this, and then Owen and Bulldog disqualified themselves. A 5.5 out of 10 simply because of the Dusty finish again. Disqualification. Rocky Maivia defeated Savio Vea via disqualification. Yeah, again, 2 DQ finishes in a row for the Intercontinental Championship. This match sucked ass. And not just because, it's not just the fact that the wrestling was bad, but the fact that Rocky Maivia comes out and he literally has crickets chirping. You will never see. And it's such incredible to see this. It's so fucking incredible to see the evolution of The Rock as he comes out. He literally has crickets chirping away. It's incredible to hear. You know, there is no die Rocky die chance. Not really. There's a smattering, but really it's just crickets. There's no heat. There's no build in this match. It's just two guys wrestling. And you have the Nation going out there. Crush interferes in the match. It looks like the ref didn't see it. And then 30 seconds later, he calls for the bell as if he did see it. And then the match just ends. And it just ends. And there's no reaction whatsoever. This match is awkward. And it just ends. It just ends. Nation defeats beats the shit out of Rocky Maivia, and you'll never see The Rock come out with crickets ever again. Die Rocky Die chants continue to go on afterwards. However, soon after, Rocky Maivia would get that injury, which would be a huge blessing in disguise. Next up, you talk about evolution of two characters here. Here we have Rockabilly, and that's Billy Gunn defeating Jesse James. That's the real Double J, another stupid ass gimmick because they don't have Jeff Jarrett anymore. So Road Dogg is the new real Double J. And this is a shitty match. Again, this is the evolution of 1997's incredible rockabilly. There's a lot of rocks in 1997, obviously. A rockabilly. See, you have Don Morocco, The Rock. You have The Rock, which was originally Warrior's name. You have Rocky Maivia. And then you have Rockabilly. Anyways, I guess Sting is in love with the Coco. I'm in love with the Coco. Anyways, this is a terrible match. Yeah, Billy Gunn, who went from the Smoking Guns to very briefly a Rockabilly to then finally New Age Outlaws. Road Dogg, same difference. He went from being the roadie to the real Double J to being the Road Dogg. Bad match, a 2 out of 10. 2 out of 10, same thing with Rocky Maivia and Savio Vega 2. These two matches back to back are shite. Honky Tonk Man was out there, but didn't help matters. Next up, finally, like I said, WCW's undercard is shit. Undercard for WCW is incredible. The main event is shit. WWF, it's the opposite. The undercard is shit. The main eventers are great. And of course, Undertaker defending his title successfully against Mankind in another great match. One for their rivalry, one more good match in their feud. I don't think these two guys ever had a bad match together. Undertaker, Mankind, this is both men's best feuds together. These guys never had a bad match, whether it's their Buried Alive match, whether it's their Hell in a Cell matches, of course, whether it's their parking lot brawl, or rather their boiler room brawl, or this matchup right here. Even though it's a normal match, this is a good match, very much. So a 7 out of 10. All of the Undertaker Mankind matches are my favorite matches of all time. And this one ranks just up there with their Survivor Series. A 7 out of 10. And finally, the main event. It's Stone Cold Steve Austin and Bret the Hitman Hart. Steve Austin defeats Bret Hart via disqualification. That's right, 3 DQ matches. 3 matches in disqualification. There's only 5 matches on this show, guys. 3 matches in the disqualification. Is this actually WCW? I don't know. It's WWF, but it has 3 disqualifications. Whatever. Steve Austin wins because of the Hart Foundation, the new Hart Foundation, not the shitty Jim Neidhart and Owen Hart tag team. No, this is the new Hart Foundation with Brian Pillman, Jim Neidhart, British Bulldog, Owen Hart, and Bret Hart, the 5-man faction. And this is a great match. Not nearly as good as their Survivor Series or, of course, their WrestleMania match, but it's still a good match. And the trilogy of matches these 3 have are great. This is the 3rd match of their series, and it's very good. An 8 out of 10. Overall, In Your House, Revenge of the Taker. Whether the title is great and everything, this show overall is just mediocre. As I said, the undercard was shit, and the main events, the 2 matches, were very good. However, you had 3 matches ending in disqualification. A 5 out of 10. As you see, more big wheels are turning and turning. Stone Cold Steve Austin is becoming one of the biggest beloved baby faces there is. Bret Hart becoming one of the biggest heels ever. Mankind's becoming iconic. Undertaker's iconic. Rocky Maivia gets this injury, which becomes a blessing in disguise. And we next see Rocky Maivia. He comes back, and he is a member of the Nation of Domination. And it's all about a matter of respect. And he becomes The Rock. So overall, Revenge of the Taker is mediocre. A 5 out of 10. Don't really recommend it. I'll catch you next time for WCW Slamboree. And for the WWF, it's another In Your House. This time, a cold day in hell, when it's Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Undertaker for the World Wrestling Federation Heavyweight title. See ya. Bye.